United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve on this agenda. I'll second the motion.
Motion from Spencer and a second from Derby to approve the minutes and agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. 9 a.m. Don Reefer, B&W spraying to discuss with possible action spraying schedule for 2020.
Hello?
Hi, Don.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Yeah, let me turn it up here a little bit. Hang on a second. Okay, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
A lot better. I can hear you a lot better. So, to start off with, I'm going to tell you, I really don't like doing meetings like this.
Neither do we.
No.
But I guess it's the way it's got to be for a little bit yet. So, but anyway, did you get the quotes from either Mark or Chris that I had sent over there?
Chelsea, do you have those?
Did you get copies of those?
We're looking for them right now.
Didn't we get it as an email?
Did
I was
we?
gonna say, I don't.
I believe we got it as an email.
Yeah, I was going to see if you could get it in front of you, if you had any questions on anything. I was going to kind of go through. I went over there last week and inspected ditches, and this is just the, as always, it's a 3-year rotation. But in actuality, these ditches were supposed to be done last fall, but because of some, basically my wife had been sick, and she got really sick here the last 6 months, so I hadn't been working as much as I guess, haven't been working as much as I should have been, but I had other things to take care of. I had contacted Mark last fall to look at these, but then it just never worked out, so I had to roll it over to the spring. But I am back full-time now, so I'll be pestering you like you're used to. But I guess basically these are just ditches that hadn't been done for 3 years, and as always, we've got them lumped into a 3-year rotation. The only one that has been added, I guess, is we had been doing some work on 3937. It's Winnebago Hancock joint down on the south end of the county. And basically 2 years ago, they took all the forest off of that, so now we're going to go back in and keep it clean, keep the trees from coming back. I didn't really see much out there, but it's pretty early to see where any regrowth would be right now because it's going to be fairly small yet. So I've included enough on that. If I do need to go in there, or if we do need to go in there twice, go in and spray it with a foliar treatment, then if we have to come back again, I've got enough included in that quote. Also, our ditch over by Buffalo Center, we did get the call last fall, fairly early last fall, and we did get the guys up there to do that. It's lap 5 of DD number 6. And that was actually, we've been trying to get that thing done. That was actually approved. The quote was actually approved way back in 2016. And with the landowner that was out there, we could never get that portion done. But we got the call last fall that it was open and we could get in there. But the guys did say that there was enough stuff on that 1 mile where we'd never been able to go in, that it was thick enough in some areas that we should probably go and look at that again this year, just to do a touch-up to make sure that we got everything killed in there.
Is that just off highway?
But I guess,
Yeah, they didn't even wait for him to cool off.
yeah, because it hadn't been done for a long time. There was some stuff to kill in there. I mean, it was a good test strip to see how your program's working in the rest of the county. If you just went and look at that 1.5 mile strip, you'd see what the other ditches might look like. And also, there's one of the ditches we're doing this year, DD number 2. You've got a landowner out there that Bill Tweeton.
Yep.
That keeps a real close eye on that. In fact, I went ahead and called him already and told him we would be looking at that portion. He owns ground up there, I think, on one of the laterals and on the main. And he gets real concerned if he sees a tree that's knee-high out there. He gets concerned, and sometimes he's calling me. So, but I've already made contact with him.
Thank you.
And also, I guess just as an example, I always bring in for you the quote versus the actual. These same ditches were quoted at $70,000 3 years ago, and the actual amount billed was $27,022.63. Am I still there?
Yep.
Okay, I just had a funny noise come across on
Probably
the
somebody
phone.
coming online.
Okay, and, 2 years ago, the quote was 76,000, and the actual was 30,284.75. And then the last year's was 43,250 was a quote, and the actual was 24,615.31. And typically, the reason the quote is so much higher than what the actual is because, as you all know, each one of these ditches, as well as each lateral, has to be quoted as a separate job. And so, if we could just lump it all together and quote the whole system as one, the quote would be a lot closer to what the actual is. However, this gives you a number. If you say, for instance, you got somebody on DD2 Lat 2 sees us out there and they want to know what it's going to cost for their portion, then you've got a number you can give them. You don't have to say, well, we won't know till they're done, which a lot of times your landowners, they don't want to hear that. DD2 Lat 2 sees us out there, they want to know what it's going to cost for their. So,
Alright.
I guess with that, unless you have questions, I guess that's pretty much all I have for you. These are, ditches we've done before, and it's just the 3-year rotation.
I don't have any questions.
I don't either.
Yeah, no, it's, I'm glad you could get out there on that one. Not necessarily happy for him, but.
Yeah, well, no, it's kind of sad, The guy did have, he was a character, put it that way.
Yes, that would
So,
be a nice way to put it.
well, I try to be nice.
Yeah.
Just,
We appreciate
but anyway, how's that now?
we appreciate your work on this, and you do a good job. And I'll make a motion to approve the B&W spraying schedule for 2020.
Second. Motion to Derby and a second from Stenzer to approve the B&W spraying for schedule for 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, I guess that's it, unless you have anything else for us.
Yeah, I guess another thing I'm going to need to do, I don't know if you have hard copy there, but what I need to do, and this is for insurance purposes, is if you can either print a copy of the quote that I sent and then sign it off as approved.
Yeah.
What that does for you is that converts this quote to a contract, and then it automatically gets you additionally insured with my insurance company.
Okay.
Because the way my insurance is written, that any customer that we have a written signed agreement with, then they're automatically additionally insured. So if you could it's just something as simple as just putting on there, accepted, and have the board chairman sign off, and then just send me a copy of it. And if you need, I can send you a hard copy to do that with. I'm assuming you can just print it off your email.
No, we've got it here,
Yeah.
Don.
Yeah, she had it.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff.
Carla printed it.
Yeah, if you could just do that, and then you can probably just leave a copy in there at the courthouse there for me to pick up if I need it. So
Just got her done.
other than that, I'll just let you know as always when we get started, and we always call the county sheriff as well to let them know we're out there since we have to be off road, and we'll let you know when we get going on them.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
All right, let's see, what is it, 70?
No, he's not here yet. Is he online?
Scott, are you, online?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Good.
Is your?
Well, good morning. Yeah, I guess I got one thing to discuss with you guys under drainage matters. That's the biggest thing I had other than that agreement on the agenda. So I guess, do you guys have anything on secondary roads?
I don't.
I have one, on, 470th Avenue, you've been out to inspect the possible putting a tile in their yard is flooded and they want to put a culvert underneath their driveway.
I think that's ringing a bell. It's you got the last name, Bill?
Oh, gal. It starts with a B.
Yep. Okay, we're talking about the same one. Yep, they got some. She said that they hadn't had any ponding there in recent past, but it's kind of hard to believe, seeing as that we couldn't find any culverts crossing the road or the driveway. But
Well,
we are planning to put a culvert under the driveway to get rid of that water.
according to the people that have, that own the ground around there and then also grew up on that place, that has never been a problem there.
Yeah.
And there is a private tile that comes into there that they say probably got replaced with some, there was a 7-inch clay, and now there's a 7-inch or whatever, probably plastic in there now. It got replaced after they didn't own the acreage anymore. And they figure it's probably plugged up with grass and tree roots again is what the real problem is, and then digging the culvert would just be, it'd just be addressing the result, not what's really causing it. And the farmer that owns the ground around there, they had a pump and they were pumping it over there and it flooded out the whole corner of his field. And he really didn't care for that. They shut their pump off when he went and talked to them and stuff. But, so the real issue isn't put the culvert underneath that, driveway. It's probably fixing, there must be a private tile, the nearest county tile is way out to the, either west or east or, to the northeast, before they get to one. It's quite a ways, but he says there's a private tile in there that probably needs to be repaired.
Okay. Do you got any information on that, or talk to somebody who does, or?
It's Kevin Deering that farms the ground around there. His dad owns it. And he did send me a couple of old tile maps. I have pictures of them. I guess I could forward them to you. They're not real good, but
Okay.
they're just all hand-drawn ones from, years and years ago.
Would that be the first step?
Yeah.
Get that fixed?
So
Yeah, no, the thing is the people that own the property don't have, a lot of money to start hiring backhoes to come in and replace tile. The farmer said that if it's a problem in his field, that he will pay for it all. But if the problem is in their acreage from tree roots or grass, then, that would probably be their responsibility.
Yeah, and they do have quite a few sets of trees there, and some are kind of in the road ditch there, pretty close to it.
Yeah.
But I guess without knowing where any tile went, that's the best we could come up with. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Gary had the same problem. If we put the culvert in.
If they put a culvert in, then the water will naturally
Yeah.
flow to the corner of his
Yeah.
field, and he would just as soon go where it's always naturally, not naturally gone, but it's supposed to go through that tile, rather than flood out the corner of his field, because if it all runs down into there, that will remain relatively unfarmable, quite a few years out of the.
So this water you're talking about running through a culvert, what kind of a watershed are we talking? An acre or 2 acres or more?
Oh, the size of the acreage?
I mean, what's the watershed
What would go through
area?
that culvert?
It's mostly would just come off of their acreage, I think.
And that's an acre or 2 maybe?
Yeah, and and he's not having any issues out in the field, so he's pretty sure the tile's not plugged in his field. And, the tile's working there, but it's
What's it cost to put a culvert in? Scott?
What's it cost? Well, like maybe $12 a foot for the pipe, so I don't know, times 40. Maybe $500 for the pipe, and double it for labor maybe. Maybe wouldn't be that much.
they can find someone with a small backhoe to go out, they can probably find the problem for not much more than that. I don't know what it would take to fix it, but,
Bill, the tile runs through their acreage, you think, or?
here, let me pull it up here
Is
once.
that private tile then?
Yeah, there's no county tile anywhere near it. So it's, the only thing I got to go off from is a little, I'll, forward it to you here quick.
Could you send it to me too, Bill? This is Carla.
Okay, you're really gonna make it tough on me here, huh?
Just share with two people.
Yeah.
Scott, while he's working on
Hey.
that, I have a issue
Yeah.
on 440th between 69 and R50. Before the weather turned sour this weekend, the road was getting pretty bad. And there's a lot of traffic. There's 4 places on that road, and there's 2 different people that are hauling out grain, and there's also livestock traffic on that road, and they haven't seen anything done with it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I will,
starts recovering, it'd be nice to get something done with it. The shape is not
Yeah.
there anymore.
okay. Let's see, 440. I think that's in the territory of one of the guys that was off last week. So, I mean, the guys who were working last week were blading pretty good part of the week with all the good weather, but, you know, it's hard to get around with just half crew. But I'll get a note to the guys and see if we can get something taken care of on that one.
You guys are gonna get these maps on your phones. I sent them as text. I should have sent them as emails.
Okay.
Never
You said these maps weren't very good, Bill. I think they're kind of neat.
Do you think they're kinda neat? Yeah. Looks like the 7-inch clay goes out to the east. And there's another one that hooks the corner. The water's in between the 2 driveways, right?
Right. So, yeah, which of these tiles would get that? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know which one would get it. If the one going to the east, goes in a little ways further, that would be the one that would probably get it the most. But it shows it just starting. It got plugged years ago. He said it got plugged with manure. They had too much flow coming off of the cattle bot there. But,
This is Chris. Can I ask why we are discussing private tile?
because they were gonna put a culvert through.
It affects the secondary roads.
The driveway, it's secondary roads. It has nothing to do with drainage, really.
No, I know, but I'm just wondering if the culvert is still gonna flood out that farmer's field, wouldn't we want the landowner to fix their tile?
That's what we're talking about, rather than putting the culvert in. I figured we just will stop the culvert because it's not gonna address the real problem.
Oh, okay, I was getting it wrong, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about putting in the culvert.
No,
Sorry.
no. The land, or the guy that owns the acreage was gonna put a culvert in to get rid of the water, which it may get it And I don't know if that corner of that field would drain to that tile or not.
Well, Bill, is there such thing we give Kevin some time to investigate some tile out there, or, I mean, looks like, you know, it's the Bartnesses there that we're talking about. The
Yeah,
tiles
there you
kind
go.
of barely touch into the corners of their property.
Yeah, and I assume those, you know, they show the 7-inch tile, but what are the lines going back towards the acreage from the tile? Is that like some, like, pattern tiling they've done there, or they got lines out in the middle of the field?
Yeah. Kind of what it looks like. I see it's a Kiewit tiling map. Would it
Yeah.
help to talk to Terry or somebody at Kiewit?
Yeah, I'll talk to, we just mentioned it to Terry and see whether he can, he'll know, he's pretty good at remembering that stuff, so.
Yeah.
I would, that would probably be the first step, I guess. Rather than put in a
Well,
driveway.
yeah, okay, well, shall I leave it with you for a little bit and do some research and then we'll get back together on it?
Yeah, I'll stop in and talk to Terry about it.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for secondary roads? All right, and we'll move on to consider for approval joint powers agreement with Faribault County, Minnesota and the Township of Rome, Minnesota for bridge replacement project LD9N 7395.
Yeah, so we talked about this one before. This is an agreement with those parties for a bridge on the state line up just east of R20. And once we sign it, we'll send it off to the Minnesota parties to sign it. And then it's got to come back here, get final AG's approval, state attorney general's approval, and then get recorded with the Secretary of State. So there's quite a few steps in this process, but I guess all parties are working hard to keep it moving, so
Okay,
I recommend approval.
Yeah.
I gave the agreement to Carla. Did that find its way to the board meeting here?
John, it be in the folder.
all right, well, I'll make a motion to approve the joint powers agreement with Faribault County, Minnesota and the Township of Rome, Minnesota for bridge replacement project LD9N 7395.
Second.
Motion from Juggle, second from Stensrud to approve the joint powers agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Chelsea, do you have any drainage?
Yeah.
Nope, I do
Oh,
it for today.
Chris is on the phone.
Yeah.
Maybe she's got great.
Scott had drainage.
Yeah, I don't have anything today. I was gonna also talk with Scott stuff, so I'm good.
All right. Scott, do you have something for drainage?
Well, I sent you guys off an email yesterday about DD3 reclassification that was done. So I don't know if you had time to look through that, but if you have, then we can talk through it real quick.
I have, yeah. I think we all.
Yeah, so, this is one that's every year we get our drainage bill, tax statement, basically with just drainage assessments on it, and this year it was significantly higher than past years, and every year I take the top few and kind of ask Chris about them and see what, just to kind of do my due diligence, and this year we found one that I think is worth talking about. When they did the reclassification of DD3, the cost was something like $100,000, and the road department had a bill of about $14,000, and I thought that seemed like a big percentage of the cost. So when I talked to Rick at Jacobson Westergaard about it, he said they use a different scale for districts that include towns because, urban property property has much more runoff than ag property. Commercial property has, you know, parking lots and roofs and things that change things significantly. But when they changed the scale, they put secondary roads more in the category of residential and commercial, rather than more like ag land. And so for DD3, there was two, the main ditch and the lateral, where there was towns involved. And so you can see that those two districts put secondary roads at about 4 to 5.5 times the benefit that we normally would. And it puts, you know, so much cost on the secondary road department. That main ditch one, 14.2, and lateral 8, 10.1 of the benefit. Whereas normally, because we only own 2.5% of the land, normally we're around 2.5 to 4 or something like that. So the reclassification wasn't a huge cost, just because it was just, you know, engineering work and wasn't construction. But if there were a big construction project on that ditch, you know, there'd be a huge burden to the road department. So I wanted you guys to be aware of that, and from my perspective, it doesn't seem equitable, and we should look at how to address that in the future. So I guess with that, I'll take your thoughts.
What did Rick say?
Rick said that the process has served them well over time, and they haven't really come across this, you know, this issue hasn't been brought to their attention. And in this case, he said if there were a lot of urban properties, they would start to pull the benefit away from the road department. But for these districts that only have a small percentage of towns, and they're not encompassing a big town and separating that cost and then all of these residential properties, that this one was unique in that just the perfect storm of a small amount of towns, but using the town's formula, it just put a lot on the road department. So
Those formulas, there's different ones that engineers use, right?
I think each engineering company basically puts their own factors together based on a similar methodology. You know, factoring in the same types of things such as soil types, proximity to the ditch, that kind of thing. But he didn't share with me the, you know, fine details of what their formula looks like.
But it's like most things when we talk about policies or whatever, there's always an exception to the rule, and so I don't know why we couldn't deal with that. I don't know.
Well, the resolution is we would have had to have done something before we approved the classification. Otherwise, we have to reclassify it to change that.
Yeah, Rick said, you know, it wouldn't be a full reclassification if we just adjusted our numbers, but there's probably still a process there that would need to take place in order to do that. I'm not sure.
Because all the landowners are going to have to be aware of what's happening.
Yeah, so we did talk, you know, we wouldn't go back and try to adjust any of the stuff that's been done, but just for future, seems worth looking into.
Could you put together an example, test example, as to what the difference would be in cost? I don't even know if we can change it, but I would think we could. But
well, I can tell you, you know, in DD3, based on what I sent you there, you know, let's say $100,000 is the tag on a project or whatever. Normally we would pay $3,000, $4,000, but with this main ditch assessment, we'd be paying $14,000. So, you know, like I said, a factor of 4 or 5 difference.
Okay.
Because typically we would be treated pretty similar to ag land, on the high end of ag land, so some poorly draining ag land. is how we'd be assessed. Just, 1.1, 1.2 times the average benefit factor for ag land.
How long ago was
It's got it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did you look at your DD1 classification also, because that included the other side of Thompson?
I haven't, and I just thought of that yesterday to
Okay.
see, because Jacobson Westgard did that reclass too.
It did.
We did they did a big construction project there too.
Yeah, but your classification will still be in there. That doesn't have anything to do with the project.
Yeah, I just thought I would have, noticed that if we would have done a huge project, and I don't remember us getting a huge assessment for that. What's the status of that?
Yeah, and I don't have it in front of me to know either.
Okay, is
think
that something you
something
could track down?
Yeah, I'm home this week, but I will be back next week. Wondering if I can get together with you and Rick and see if we can't do something about that DD3 classification.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It seems really high. So I'd like to help out if we can do that. That would be great.
Okay.
My question is, did it change the original assessment, or do they use the original assessment and remove everything else? How does that work?
I believe what we can do is it would just lower secondary roads assessment. So say the original is $1,000 or $100,000, whatever. They would take secondary roads off what their deduction is, and the new assessment would be $95,000 or whatever it is. So it wouldn't change any other landowners, it would just change theirs. Because that's what we've done in the past when we've had secondary roads has a bill and then the highway was built.
You gotta
So we just
explain that one to
changed
me.
to-
Well, what the cost that secondary roads is paying would have to go to the district, right?
No, we can just
Sure.
lower the total amount.
We gotta pay the contractor $100,000.
Yeah, Mike basically would just go based on the exact same percentages distributed to the rest of the district, I guess. So yeah, it would have an impact, but it would be fairly minor.
It'll be minimal to the landowners.
It's a big enough drainage district that it would be minimal, but, still, that would have to go somewhere, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that DD3 reclass had, Chris, how many properties? Thousands of properties.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's 1,200 parcels in it.
Yeah.
But it's something to talk to Rick about. We would have to sit down and figure it out.
but it
Yeah.
surprised me that having towns in the picture would change what they would look at the secondary roads as. 'Cause it seems like
That's exactly my thought too, Bill.
It seems like that should be the same whether there's a town there or not. The town, I can understand why they're gonna have, or a factory or something like that, why they would have a higher, what's the word for it?
Assessment?
Yeah.
Drainage.
Benefit.
There you
the
go.
100 scale.
Yeah. But, all right, well, it's something that sounds like it should be looked into, so.
Yeah, start it that way and that'd be great, and we can go from there.
Okay.
Sounds good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else for drainage?
Not on my side.
No.
All right. Open forum.
That's for number 7.
Hi guys, this is Julie from Public Health.
Hello.
Hi, thought I'd update you a little bit on what's going on over here with the COVID-19. In Winnebago County, as you know, we have 2 cases. One of those cases has recovered and we're not monitoring them anymore. And the other one is still being monitored. Due to the shortage of the PPEs that the governor has stated the end of last week and the beginning of this week. She mandated that, and so did CMS, that we cut non-essential visits. So we are putting our homemaker visits on hold. Because of the shortage of the PPEs. And we are also now going to be doing the telehealth visits for our skilled nursing. So the girls have set up like med management for when we monitor the patient's meds. They've gone out about 3 weeks, and then in between there, they'll call them during their scheduled visits that they normally would have and do it over the telephone. The kicker with that is Medicare, as of right now, that is not a billable visit, but with Medicaid, it is if I use a different code, and I have that code. So I can bill Medicaid, but I can't bill Medicare. And as for VA and all that, we're checking still into that. And with the home care aid visits, that all depends on the status of the patient and if they have a caregiver in the home to help them out. But we will be decreasing their visits instead of, if they have it 3 times a week, it'll be down to 1 or 2 times a week. So, for our PPEs, if we get an outbreak in, let's say, one of the nursing homes, they will be getting our PPEs here at the office that we have, and then all visits will be put on hold except our daily wounds. So you guys got any questions on that?
Are you guys short gloves?
We do have gloves, but we will take gloves. We are short masks. We do have people that are making the cloth masks, but we cannot wear them without a face shield, and we are short on those. I did get an order out about, I think, a week ago, 10 days ago, and I just got an email this morning that I should be receiving those at the end, and they're the ones that you can wipe down. So if they have the cloth mask with a surgical mask underneath and a face shield, then we can wear the cloth mask. But we have been giving those cloth masks to our patients because it is advised that even on a healthy visit, that they wear a cloth mask while we still have our PPEs on, just to protect everyone. So we're not, carrying it in and all that stuff. We have had fabric donated to make gowns. The gowns are running short. We cannot find any of those. So I believe Andy Buffington's mom has been sewing up a storm. And we did have yesterday someone drop off fabric. So we're giving that to Andy and his mom. So if you know anybody who can sew, gowns would be a good thing. And we're definitely short thermometers.
Well, do those latex gloves expire?
It should say on the package, Bill.
It seems like I can remember there being, I have 2, I believe they expired and they came off the ambulance. My wife ended up with them. It seems like I have 2 boxes of gloves. But I'm assuming they're expired, so I don't know whether they're something you can use or not.
Well, girls over there might be able to use some of those with sorting mail and stuff like that. I don't know how much Kevin has over there.
Yeah. I guess I can bring them here.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Yep.
You got some?
Or you can drop them off here too. I'm sure we can find a home. Anything is better than nothing right now.
Then I have another box in my shop. Those were way too small to fit my hands. I do have another box of extra large ones in my shop, I guess.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
We could use those for our poll workers on June 2nd for the election. Yes. Good idea, Carla. Yep, that would be great.
All right. Okay, I'll see if I can round them up and get them over here.
Thank you. Carla, for that election, have you talked to your workers to see if they could, are they going to be wearing cloth masks?
We're doing a lot of stuff to
really make sure everyone's safe. However, right now, I don't have poll workers lined up because I figured if I asked people to be poll workers at this point, I would get all those. So I'm waiting a little bit longer to ask. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully, because you said that's June 2nd, hopefully we'll be on the downswing of all of this, but we always have to prepare for the worst. I know I do have someone dropping off some masks, and I believe Winnebago is making masks too. So we can just put out a thing on our Facebook page if you need it, and they can donate it in our bucket out here that we have sitting out by our door.
Switchcraft, or whatever they call it, that's, yeah, they could probably make masks easy enough.
They have.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Just saw on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I watched that video,
Yeah.
making you a
Just
mask.
fold your handkerchief in half and self-20
Yeah.
rubber bands in it.
Yep, I have people that have done that too.
I just wear my charcoal filtered paint mask. Two big cartridges out front.
I got my Darth Vader mask.
And then I've got a hard hat that I used to wear delivering like herbicide and stuff like that, and it's got a big face shield on it, so yeah. Okay.
Do you guys have any other questions
No, I don't.
regarding COVID-19? What we're doing over here is, as of right now, our girls are still going, they can't do the split shifts where you're on 1 week, off 1 week. So they're doing it. They go see their patients. If they have the ability to chart from home, they go home and chart. And then if they can't chart from home, they'll come in here. We practice, all the social distancing and all that. And then they go as soon as they're done charting. So we don't have as many people here in the office. Right now it's just Allison and I and Rhonda that have been pretty much in the office every day. So, and the nurses come in too, but, the ones in town here do come in, so. And Vicki has been working at home, and she is, been doing still everything she can except the filing, because we've been scanning and texting and emailing and video chatting with her, so.
Julie, I don't know if you know, but Willie is an expert seamstress, so.
Oh yeah, yep. We got her on background there.
Anything else for open forum? Here's nothing, I'll move on to number 7. Consider approval letter for public health. You want to explain that a little bit?
Yep, that letter you received, Bill, is, that I need signed, is every 6 years we have to do the huge, recredentialing with Medicare, and it's our 885A, application. And so every 6 years, I need that letter and a letter from Julie. And then, every 3 years in between there, then you do a little mini application. But it's just to revalidate and, do our recredentialing with Medicare.
What's the CMS stand for?
That's the Medicare, Central Medicare System, yep.
Right. Yeah, I actually got an application, and I'm actually a provider. He signed up when I was helping take care of my mom.
Really?
Yeah. But, I don't think I'll fill mine out though.
Yeah, it's kind of long.
Yeah. All right, well,
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
motion from Spencer and a second from Derby to approve the letter for public health. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
If you have any
sure.
questions, don't hesitate to call.
Do we need to stamp approved on this, or, yeah?
Well, there's a
There's
signature,
there's a signature spot for the chairman.
usually when there's a signature spot.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah, I just need that signed bill, and then can you ask Chelsea to scan that to me?
Yeah, I'll do that, Julie.
All right, thanks, Chelsea.
Yep.
Okay, consider for approval auditor's transfers.
Take a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Motion from Stetser and a second from Derby to approve the auditor's transfers. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's what they gotta be stamping, eh? Or you did stamp it, just look at that, easy is it? It's like,
We've got a system going here.
yeah, it's a lot better than when I used to run that thing. You've got the right date. It's on a roll.
Reason.
Carla? Carla, you there? Carla, are you still on the line? Evidently not.
Maybe not.
Why would, you know why Ethan Shutter would have two pages, 40 hours apiece?
Well, 2 different weeks.
Yeah, I know, but why, normally it's on one.
It's one at
Maybe he
home
was,
and one's.
yeah, I was gonna say, maybe he was gone that week at home, so he submitted
Yeah, we gotta
another
keep it
sheet.
separate for getting reimbursed. Federal FEMA.
This
Yeah.
was last week's minutes, so I don't know if you stamped that at all, or
No, he just signs it.
he just signs it, okay.
It's more than good.
Last week's
Mr. Carla
minutes.
calling, huh? It is. Let's see, I just hit this, right?
Just pick it up.
Pick it up. Just, now that we gotta figure it out.
Hello? Hello? The conference call hung up on you. I'll be darned. Well, I probably hung up on everybody then.
We're done anyway.
Yeah, well, I guess we're basically done. Oh, we did have a question for you, but it got answered. Ethan Shutter had two, sheets in there, but one's for the week when I suppose he was off, and the other one's for the week when he was working. We had someone here in the office that explained it all to us. She was sharper than a tack. Yeah, there you go. I think we're done, other than just, going through the, payroll claims, so. Do you wanna stay online, or, I guess if we have to, we can call you back. But, we should be good. Alright, yep, bye.
See, the signs are out for the sheriff, running for sheriff.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You don't need to yet.
No.
Cause there's neither one, they're both unopposed in their primary.
Depends on how you look at it. The more your name is out there,
Yeah, the earlier
Yeah, I
you get it
suppose
out there, the
legally
better.
legally they can have them out there now, because isn't there like only a time frame that you can have signs out?
Well, yeah, I mean, June, they can have it out for the primary, so, I mean, not that it's gonna decide anything, but you still want it out there.
Yeah.
And then you wanna sign those minutes from last week.
Go right in
Yep.
front of me.
Thank you.
You got the room.
You still have somebody on the phone?
I think it hung up on everybody. Well, it hung up on Carla.
Yeah, well, that's what Carla was just saying. It says it's still there.
So do we have to stamp approved on this one for Ruth? Or is it just a receive?
Oh, I would,
The board
yeah,
down there.
I think it's just received,
yeah,
because you didn't make a motion on it.
it's one of those things we get informed of.
Oh, he has to sign the receipt.
Oh, okay.
Just stamp it, yeah.
You can't hear me on there, can you?
Uh-uh.
It says it's still there, but.
Except for he's got a problem.
Please enter your participant or moderator code followed by the pound key. Please say your name followed by the pound key.
Hello?
When you're ready, I'll make a motion for payroll claims to approve them.
Sick of writing your name yet, Bill?
What?
I said sick of writing your name yet.
Oh, yeah, no, it's gonna get worse. The worst thing is my fingers sometimes start to fall asleep.
Oh, yeah. I bet.
We have,
Since
all
I-
that election stuff on the same day as payroll and
Mhm.
everything else. It gets to be quite.
Oh, I bet.
And the longer I sign my name, the sloppier it gets.
Mhm.
It's like I can't control my fingers as good.
We're on the short one. Bill J.
Yeah, just, some
Just
people you
scribble
can't
the
read it,
rest.
it just, yeah.
Well, that's something we could discuss sometime, whether there's some counties that just use a stamp.
Yeah, it's, if you're running the stamper, it should almost be the same thing as,
We each have our own stamp.
oh, yeah.
Did you ever see Doc Coley?
Mm-mm.
You didn't, did you? Remember his signature?
Could you even read it?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. This is how he did it.
Really?
That's how he did it.
Yeah. Doctors notoriously have a bad reputation for having poor handwriting or signatures or whatever. I read something on that once.
Oh, yeah, that's
Remember Myron Howland?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, anyway, just by half. That's all it was.
There's no way you can read docs.
But a lot of doctors that way, just for the purpose of the prescription, they don't want anybody to be able to reproduce it.
and then there's some people that have a signature as like a work of art. You know, it's just,
My brother,
You know that,
Randy
right?
Donnell's,
he's got the,
his penmanship is on.
Don's is?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, man.
Yeah, if he gives you a handwritten bit, you can read it.
and mine is crude but legible.
Yeah, there's not a lot of guys that have good penmanship.
You can read my first name, but that's it.
No, mine's not. It is what it is. It hurts my hand to try and fix it.
Requires too much brain power.
So there's a motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
The motion bearing a second consent to approve payroll claims, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, then we stand adjourned, I suppose.
Anybody want some spray?
I just need to grab this one up there.
Mine's 100% alcohol. Or whatever, I supply.
Does anybody know how I stopped this?
I know if you just shut it, it shuts it off.
Gotta get my glasses. Let me see.
See like any button or anything?
How long have things been shut down now? 3 weeks?
I think, yeah, this
This is the third week?
is this the third week that everything's been shut down, or is this the beginning of the third, or is it the beginning of the fourth? I think it's the beginning of the third.
Makes sense to me.
Now, yeah, I don't know, you lose track.
The cure is gonna get worse than the disease.
Oh, you know, our economy tanks, carnage that will be amongst the poor, and the homeless and all that, they're getting taken, but those are the first people to be without money and food. And then the crap will start happening.
You know?
Hungry tummies are a great motivator. That's why they like to keep us fat and sassy so we don't whine. And it doesn't always motivate the best behavior either.
They could just log out, wouldn't it? There's a second. Yeah.